Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily. It is Tuesday night, and tonight we have Mo Stewart from the Anfield Wrap on with us. I also have Grizz, and we're going to have a little chat about the Anfield Road redevelopment that's been delayed for the moment. We're going to talk about how Mo is getting on through all of this lockdown, how Grizz is getting on, and of course, all the random stuff that comes with this show on a nightly basis. Here we go. And here we go. Straight into it. No messing about. Mo, you're very welcome. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good, mate. Good to see you both. Good to hear from you both. I've just had my dinner. I've had a nice, relaxing evening. Sat inside, watching the rain from outside, and now I'm
Okay.
ready to chat some Reds.
Okay, that suits us. Grizz, how are you?
I'm not too bad. In a better mood than I spoke to you in about a couple of hours ago because I've eaten.
Oh, yeah, that's always a plus.
Yeah, so I've opened my fast and I feel nice and calm now for about 30 minutes. So utilize my calmness.
Okay, and after 30 minutes, then you're just going to go a bit
Well,
berserk.
I'll start panicking and start eating again, getting ready for the fast for tomorrow.
Okay, panic eating is never the way to go, Grizz. I'm just going to let you know.
Don't start giving me advice.
I told you before. I told you before I'd never do the fast that you're doing. It's as simple as that.
Hey,
Listen, we're going to get straight into it. Look, news is thin on the ground, content is thin on the ground, but look, we'll just keep going and see how we get on. But the one thing that's come out this week, it's been reported that Liverpool will delay the Anfield Road development for more than likely 12 months because of the coronavirus and everything that's going on. Mo, it's a sensible decision, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, there is still so much uncertainty around when things are going to happen and what can happen. And with the construction business in general, there's a lot of uncertainty. So it just makes sense to kind of put pause on things. Because if you think about it, the biggest problem they would have had was the time that they'd earmarked to do all of the building. We might well be playing now. Even if it is necessarily behind closed doors, it's still probably going to be want to be playing on our pitch. So that's going to throw everything out for starters. But it just makes sense to just take some time, have a look at how the land lies in a year's time. But I'm not concerned that they're having second thoughts about it. I think the developments that they've had so far have been too successful for them to turn back on their idea now.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely fair point. Grizz, where everything's going on, we're talking about uncertainty around transfers even, because, money is playing a massive part in this whole coronavirus. The Premier League, the TV rights, is it going to finish? There's loads of questions going on at the moment, but it is a sensible decision, Grizz, isn't it? Because you don't, like, we're talking about not throwing ourselves into transfers because of what's going on at the moment. We can't be throwing ourselves into a massive development like that right now, can we?
no, it more than sensible. It was probably the only decision. Everyone expected it. It wasn't out of the blue. It didn't. You can always tell when the management of Liverpool, the ownership of Liverpool, make a decision and it doesn't cause a ripple. That's when you know it's true. Though that's when you know the fans didn't expect it. There's no big drama. Everyone's been kind of sort of, everyone's understanding of the situation we're in. It's a global crisis, so it's going to affect every aspect of every business. And it's affected us. Everyone was excited, and it was huge news. About the expansion and how it's gonna, improve us, and on off the pitch mainly, but on the pitch as well. But yeah, it's not as though it's cancelled; it's postponed. So therefore, it's something else to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Mo,
Positive.
Mo, even though it's delayed,
Yeah.
taking that out of the equation, to see the Anfield Road development and the plans for it and bringing it, I think the stadium will go up around 61,000 when it's finished.
Yeah.
How excited are you by that? And also on top of that, it's not the end of the development at Anfield for you, is it?
I don't think so. I mean, it will kind of bring us almost full circle once we get to the Anfield Road and having done what's now Kenny Dalglish stand. Obviously, we did the couple a long while ago and the main stand. I'm excited simply because 5,000 more chances of getting into the stadium,
Yeah.
which right now I think it's going to be even harder to do whenever football starts again. But yeah, I just think that the status of club we're at now, we need to be in one of the 2 or 3 biggest stadiums. We all know we could fill our stadium 2, 3, 4 times over if we really had something that big. So the idea that the owners are on the way to trying to get as many people in to see these Reds as possible can only be a good thing. Further on from that, I think it really does depend on what the rest of Anfield looks like, because that has been obviously the biggest stumbling block in this since the 90s as to why it's taken so long to come to something like this, and why we've been lagging behind in terms of stadiums capacity. And that's the people who live in and around there, and making sure that area is protected and rejuvenated. And I'd like to think that the club are going to be committed to something like that. And so it's not just about having a massive, fantastic stadium and then a wasteland around it. It's about having a beacon of a city that everyone can be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what the owners are very wary of. You know, they're very, very wary of. So you look at the Man City model, but that's a total different scenario to ours. Do you know what I mean? In so many ways. So yeah, I agree with you. I do think they will be committed, and I think they will be committed to do it the right way. You know, more than rush into it and sort of demolish everything and upset locals, etc., etc. It's just not the Liverpool way, is it? And so therefore, it will take longer. It is a game of patience. I say game, but it's a business. It's a business of business of being patient. And eventually, I think they will sort of do the maximum they can, because I think they are committed.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like Chris says there, it makes sense to put it off for a year. Trying to get building work done during this summer will be close to impossible, and the turnaround time will be way too tight for the I suppose the deadline they originally put on it. You know, like Chris is also saying there about the impact of the virus continues. AFC Floyd women's team have been disbanded, and Reading have had to furlough all their players. It's look, all news keeps coming out with regards to this. Chris reckons once the Anfield Road is complete, the next stage has to be the Kenny or the Cop to either increase size or improve. The last word disappeared off my screen. But an extended Cop would be amazing, says Stephen O'Connor. Mo, on the 5,000 extra chances of getting into the ground, it's so hard, isn't it? Like, especially this season, you know, with Liverpool being so good and so dominant and on the way to marching to a league title for the first time in 30 years, getting a ticket is nigh on impossible.
It is. It's probably the biggest price of success for people who have been used to being able to get in and around the ground a lot easier. I mean, you want to be able to see your guys, you want to be able to see your team doing well, but then you want as many people to feel what you feel as possible. But then the problem with that is that they all trying to feel it at the same time, and you can't always get in. It's weird because doing what I do, I'm with a lot of people in the rap who are all season ticket holders. I'm not, unfortunately. So I'm slightly lower down the rung on the ladder when it comes to trying to get tickets. So it's a bit of a bun fight. You've got like the member sales where you've basically got to be an internet genius to try and get in it on time, or you just got to rely on hearing something. So for me, it's in some ways it's become part of the dance, but what it does mean is that when I do get in there, you really do appreciate it. I mean, it's hard to be blasé about watching this team anyway, the way they play, but there's absolutely no chance, because at the moment I don't know when the next time I'm going to get into the ground is every time I'm in there, and that feeling kind of gives you a little bit of an extra electricity when you're in the ground, definitely.
A couple of people there have said that they're not fans of the ticket system the way it stands. That's fair enough. I think the members' sale and the general sale stuff annoys a hell of a lot of people. The club have tried by, you know, finding out who has numerous members' tickets and trying to clamp down on that, but it's a long process, I think, to try get it down to where you get the majority people happy outside of the 50-odd thousand Liverpool fans that are at Anfield every second week. Grizz, we try go to as many games as we possibly can, and I don't know about you, but I've noticed even like I touch base with lads out of the Anfield Wrap or Redmen TV if myself or others are going to Liverpool and we're looking for tickets, and And the reply seems to be, over the last 18 months to 2 years, not a hope. I've had about 20 people onto me. Are you finding it as difficult as ever?
This season, far more than any other season. Even going back to last season, I managed to get there for about 8 games, which is very good for me, especially with sort of me being in London, etc., etc. But this season, wow, yeah, as both of you alluded to, it's nigh on impossible. Look, the ticketing system, I don't want to go in too much into it because I don't know too much about it, and something that you don't know about, you shouldn't go into, my opinion. But what I will say is, whatever system is sort of developed or sort of is in place, there's always going to be unhappy fans. Despite it, to us it making sense or not sense, we have to abide by. I mean, look, there's no doubt that they will try to get the owners. Their main aim is to get as many loyal Liverpool fans into that stadium. And we have to respect the way they have to work around it and the systems that have been in place for years, or, et cetera, et cetera. It is what it is. It's one of those things that we have to sort of, as patients, and I know this might sort of, some may get sort of angry or offended by this, but we have to be patient and sort of accept their decision that they are trying their best, and no system will be perfect. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. No system can be perfect. And there's so many people who want to do it. There's never going to be something for everyone. I think, as much as I don't really like this conversation because it does end up putting Liverpool fans in categories against each other, and I always hate us doing that. I hate that happening.
Yeah.
That being said, within the ticket system, I know that there are obviously provisions of trying to get a certain amount of people under a certain age, as many young people in, as many people who are living in and around the city, and you appreciate and understand those kind of initiatives. But I think from speaking to people who I know who are involved in it, the biggest issue is the credits, how you build them up, how easily it is to then lose them. And I think, as much as we're saying that there's no perfect system, there is something that we can hope that we can keep talking to the club and keep telling them what we like about it, what we don't think is working, and just hope that they continue to listen to us on these things. But yeah, as we said before, if it was easy to get in, and I've spoke to people who were regularly on the COP when it was easy to get in, they weren't really enjoying it. So, I mean, this is definitely the better way to be.
Yeah, like when demand outstrips supply, you're doing well. You're always doing well when demand outstrips supply. A couple of people have asked us here in the chat about their ideal capacity for Anfield, or what you feel it could go to. I've had a look at this going back a little while ago when it was probably first announced about the Anfield Road and 61,000. I had a figure of around 75,000 in my head. Grizz, does 75,000 seem fair to you? Does it seem doable to you? Because, like, the Anfield Road is a difficult build, simply with the road behind the Anfield Road behind it. If you look at the Cop end, you have pubs really close to the back of the Cop. You have the Walton Breck Road, and then if you go to the Kenny Dalglish stand, you're literally you're walking past somebody's back door as you're going into that stand. So, is 75k reasonable, or is it doable?
I think the figure I had in my head was 70. I think 70k, to me, as an absolute layman in terms of construction and buildings and whatever, and planning permissions, etc., etc. There was rumors of it sort of trying to extend it to 70, 71k. It's a process that's going to take time and patience. As I said, it's been going on for ages, hasn't it? And slight dampener with this being sort of postponed for 12 months. Eventually, I think 70,000 would. You've got to be realistic in terms of where Liverpool is, how it's situated, how's the ground situated, and I think you can't make it. You can't plan that far ahead at this stage. I think it literally is one sort of section by section and look at it and see how far we can get. I think by the end of, or by the peak of sort of these owners' time there, I think we end up with a 70k stadium.
Cool. Mo 70 will give you 16,000 more chances to get into the ground. Do you like those odds?
Well, I mean, we haven't really discussed the hospitality general admission percentage yet, but I think it's going to at least be 10 or 12. But no, I agree with that. I think 70 is a reasonable thing. I think when you're an elite football club, you're always trying to like run that balance between the club itself and the community around it, and then it being an actual business. And particularly the way that Liverpool is, and the way that we are part of such a big community in Liverpool, those things around the stadium you were talking about, Gav, they're as much a part of the reason why people come to Anfield.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go into those pubs, go into our home base, go into all the crazy little things, the little stands you can find outside.
The
and
garage.
that character of having it literally on people's doorsteps, and you always have that one mad guy who's an Evertonian and has to have the Evertonian badge in his window just because. And I think you want to be ambitious, you want to be forward thinking as a club, you want to be always expanding, but you have to be very careful not to expand away from the thing that has brought this success in the first place. And I do think FSG are very conscious of that. And every time they've shown that maybe they aren't conscious of it, we've kind of snapped them back into shape. So let's hope that continues as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody there is playing the broadcast out through speakers, if you want to just lower them down a touch, it's just we're getting a small bit of feedback off it. So moving away from the Anfield stuff, I wanted to see. I asked Grizz this the other night how he was getting on with regards to the lockdown. But Mo, the lockdown is in Ireland anyway. Here we're about 4 weeks in. I think you might be about two and a half officially in England. But how are you getting on, Mo? Because it can be tough for people. They're used to going to work. They're used to seeing friends. They're used to socialising and stuff like that. That's being knocked on the head. The pubs are closed. How are you dealing with it?
For the most part, I'm okay. I'm able to kind of realize that my situation is not the worst it could be. There are people who are going through it worse. And so you kind of can be thankful for the small things you can still do. But there's lots of great things about my life that I'm missing. Like I was mentioning to Grizz before we came on, most people listening to this are missing football, getting football withdrawal symptoms, but I'm getting rugby withdrawal symptoms, cricket withdrawal symptoms, athletics withdrawal symptoms, F1 withdrawal symptoms, and they're all kind of hitting me all at the same time. So as much as I'm relying on YouTube and classic matches to get you through, it is tough. It did play a big part of my life, enjoying live sport as it happens. And the other big passion from my life, it was music and DJing and going out into bars and playing to loads of people and seeing them all enjoying themselves and me taking a part of that. Well, that's gone too. So,
Mo, can I ask you a question? I know it's Gav's show, but I'm hijacking it.
No, go ahead. It's as much yours as it is mine.
So, go on, talk to me about this. What is this house party business going on? No, I need to know this.
Right.
I know
okay.
Go on.
So in the short version is house party is like a small version of Skype, where you can have it. It's like an app on your phone, so you can use it to video chat your friends. But it's also a little bit like some of the other social medias where if you're connected via Facebook, then all of the people in your Facebook list will eventually appear on it. And it's not encrypted like you get with Skype or Zoom, so people can kind of like dive in if they want to. Sometimes if they're your friends. So
Grizz frantically deleting a house party off the phone.
Eyebrows raised.
So if there's anyone on your Facebook friends list who you want to remain friends with but don't actually want to talk to, you maybe want to change those settings. Yeah. But no, genuinely, it's good. I mean, for me, the litmus test is.
He's gone there, is he?
Yeah, he's a little bit frozen. I thought it was me.
No. Mo, we've just lost Mo for a minute. We've lost Mo.
But it's good to know while he comes back and while we hopefully get back. It's good to know these things, Gav, in times of lockdown. That we need to be up with the times. He's back.
Hello.
Yeah, you're back there, yeah.
The weirdest thing about that is when that happens, I think your screen freezes.
Yeah.
So I think you've got. No, actually, it's me. So hopefully that won't happen again.
So are we knocking house party on the head, or are we sticking?
No, Mo's quite active. It seems Mo's quite. So you're on that shit, yeah, Mo? I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Okay,
But I mean,
Gav, can we try it out one weekend?
Absolutely not.
All right, fair enough.
I couldn't have you mixing with my real friends, I'm being honest with you.
okay. See, this is the problem. You think you're real friends, and then you suddenly realise there's levels.
Yeah, I'm hearing this, Mo. I'm hearing this. Okay.
So Mo, you're missing all the sport. I'm missing golf massively, playing it and watching it. I'm missing golf hugely, football obviously, and I don't know, just the ability to go where you like, when you like, I suppose. So the DJing, you're big into it. I know you're big into it. So when the lockdown is over and all the bars open, what bar are you going to what bar ideally are you going to in Liverpool to DJ in, and what song do you feel will just get the crowd absolutely flying?
Oh, what? See,
what's the first tune that you guys?
Genuinely, this is a really difficult question because it really does depend on so many factors in terms of what song is. It's good. It's got to be some.
Oh, he's gone again. Gone again. What's the odds he's on Virgin Media?
Oh yeah, that's good. Well, I'm on Virgin Media, but it's okay now.
Yeah, it's
I guess it might depend on the areas. Is he coming back?
Am I coming back?
Yeah, there you go. You're back now.
Yeah.
Another satisfied Virgin Media customer.
No, it's not even Virgin Media. It's worse than that. But the problem is as well is that there's a train bridge probably about 100 yards away from our house, which makes all of our internet a little bit hit and miss. Let's say.
No worries.
So, fingers crossed it's going to be okay. But yeah, it occasionally does this.
Okay, so I'm not letting you dodge the question. Force night out, pick a bar and pick a tune.
Well, the bar is easy. It has to be Motel. I've already put the word out. I've already put the word out amongst the Anfield Wrap crew and pretty much everyone I know in Liverpool that as soon as we get the green light, it's going to be the party to end all parties. But I mean, there are so many songs you could choose. You could go like "Start Me Up" or like something like "Back in Business" or something like that. Back in Back. There's so many. Or you could do. I mean, it's a kind of Liverpool bar and motel, so I could probably get away with a Liverpool song. So maybe even the Genie song that always gets people going.
Okay,
but
Genie song.
Good shot.
There is. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and I'm someone who changes their mind a lot. So between now and when it actually happens, it could change quite a few times. But I'm kind of keeping my hand in with the DJ. Like I've been doing a music quiz on my social media, and I've been doing like a little playlist on Spotify to go along with it, just to kind of keep me feeding new music out to people. Like I just need to kind of keep my hand in some way.
Okay. Well, the next time I'm in Liverpool, I'll make sure to go into Motel and I'll bring my favourite song with me and I'll insist on it.
Oh, don't know about that. I'm not sure if I do fully request.
Oh, you definitely do requests. I've seen you in working there, but usually it's attractive women you do requests for, where men get told to go away. But look each to their own. Milk of Magnesia is new to the YouTube channel, and he says, "Hello, Daytrippers. I'm new. You're very, very welcome." Right. If anybody has any random questions, yeah, his YouTube name is Milk Magnesia, which is brilliant.
Remind me, what was Milk of Magnesia again? It's Melis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it rang a bell.
Danny Emery just follows that up with Hi Milk. So there you go. He's making friends already. Let me see. If you have any random questions, whether it's football, non-football, or just the last thing you thought of and you want to ask us, absolutely walk away. He asks, Milk asks, we're just going to call him Milk or Mr. Magnesia. I'm not too sure which way to address him, but we go with Milk for the moment. What do you think of the most important part of the mainstream media and technology of the most highly anticipated project to reach the COVID pandemic? That is what a question. I'll have to read that in private afterwards, Milk, I'm being honest with you. Because I've read it twice now. Well, I've read it once, I've read it twice back, and I can't make much sense of it, but I will read it.
Get him to ask it in a daily update tomorrow.
Well, no, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it back, and then I will answer Milk privately, because I feel it needs to be answered. Dylan Westwood asks, Can you lads do an LFC draft as a podcast? We absolutely can, Dylan. I seen you talking to us about that earlier, and I have made a note of it. I absolutely promise. The only problem is if I do that and I have Grizz on, I will end in fucking chaos because he won't understand what the draft is, and then he will just insist on the players that he wants. Give me some context and then leave. So we'll have to wait and see. Safiso Mbele. I think he might be a friend of Mo's because he came on shouting Mo's name. He said, "House party is crazy." Oh God! Oh, here we go. Right. So now this is interesting. I'm not ignoring you, Milk. I will be back to that question later. House party is crazy. He had an ex. Jump in a convo with him and his mates. It all got very interesting. Now, Mo, you're gonna have to back up your talk here because this poor lad was on house party, minding his own business, and his ex jumped on into the convo with him and his mates, and it all got very interesting. Mo, what do you say to this?
It's a bit dicey, but like I say, all you got to do is make sure on your Facebook friends list that anyone who you don't really want to pop up, they're muted. You don't necessarily have to unfriend them and cause any kind of drama. Just mute them, and then hopefully they won't come up. But I mean, sometimes you can plan to do that.
Basically, it's like every other app of this kind, a social app. You got to be savvy. Right, that's what Mo's saying. You got to be streetwise. You got to be savvy. You got to be sharp. That's the crux of it. That's the basics of it.
And also, it's a bit of luck as well because you might think you might want to slide into someone's house party chat, but then you haven't realised that they've also got their auntie and their grandma in there as well. So you got to be careful what you do and what you say when you jump into someone's chat. But that's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
Okay. I've been asked a question to Mo, which has been asked to a hell of a lot of guests here, so I'm going to ask it. Okay, I haven't asked it in a long time, but here we go. So Mo, this is the scenario. Okay, you're on top of a building, 50 stories high. Okay, imagine New York. So it's the building is 50 stories high. There is a building beside you which is also 50 stories high. So they're on the same level. Okay. I want to know what the maximum distance is between that you can jump between those buildings. Okay. Now, Chris Pajak from the Redmen TV wanted a slight slope on his building so we could get a downhill run at it, which I allowed him to have. And I also gave him a wind a following wind of 11 miles an hour. So if you want to factor that in, what do you think the distance is you can jump between those buildings?
Right. Okay. So we've got the wind, we've got the slope. I'm going to need both of those, definitely.
Okay.
Also, can I pick at what age in my life that I'm doing this? Because 30-year-old Mo and 18-year-old Mo is going to be quite a big difference.
Okay, so what I'm going to... I'll let you... I'll let you go with prime Mo. Whatever age that is, you don't have to tell me what age that is.
No, that was about 17, to be fair. In terms of being able to jump across buildings like Superman, 17. I was still training regularly for rugby around that time, so I reckon I could have probably thrown myself through the air a decent amount. Also, on the second building, I want there to be a railing, so in case I can't get my foot on it, I can reach out and grab the thing. Because I mean, you're gonna need to have at least one. You're gonna need 2 chances. Like, you can be optimistic.
But hold on. Mo's building a new fucking city here. He's not doing any jumping. He's just building stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, my long jump record from around that time was about 5 meters.
Wow.
So I think scaling it back a little bit for the fact that it was 50 stories high, then I'm going to give myself, I'd say, 4.75 meters.
So somewhere around, Jesus, that's good. So 14 feet, somewhere around that.
5 meters is long, you know.
Like there's 2 of me, basically.
Okay. No, you've thought that out well. You have tried to construct some sort of railings on top of a skyscraper building. You have gone back in time like Benjamin Button. But in fairness, you've answered the question. That's all we wanted to. That's all we wanted to know. What's the most random thing in your fridge right now, Grizz? Apart from the 2.5 liters of sticky barbecue sauce.
Okay. No, that's not random. I'm very, very, very normal when it comes to, you know me. I'm tried and tested. I don't do randomness in my fridge.
Grizz.
Can I just have a quick look? I just have a quick look. Quick look.
Yeah, go and have a quick look. Yeah, well, Grizz, I think you're lying when you say you're not really random. You mix 3 cereals together at once in the morning and put milk on it. I think that's quite random. The most random thing in my fridge at the moment is sun cream. It's been nice. It's been nice in Ireland for the last week, and it's one of those bottles that you pour out into your hand, and if you don't put it in the fridge, it just comes out like water. So
Yeah.
there's a little tip for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my wife's an amazing cook, right? And especially when it comes to Ramadan, and she tries these different. How do I explain to you? You've never had an Indian.
No.
So I can't explain to you. So Mo, you've had an Indian before, right? So you know the yogurt dishes, right? They're called writers, yeah?
Yeah.
Now there's different types of yogurt. There's like sort of the sweet yogurt dishes, right? The minty yogurt, right? The garlicky yogurt, whatever. She's invented this one yesterday, and I'm not a yogurt.
Invented.
She's invented it.
She's invented the yogurt.
Yeah, no, she's
Flavor.
invented. No, she's invented a yogurt starter dish. Right, you won't know what we're talking about, Gav.
This is
you
madness.
need to go and educate yourself on Indian food.
Yeah.
Or
All I
try
asked you
one.
what was in the fucking fridge. I didn't ask you if your wife is
But
patenting
no,
yogurts.
I want to double check if there's still some in there, and there is. I should have shown you, right?
Yeah. Well, you were just at the fridge. You could have brought it back.
Normally, yogurt. The dishes come with like sort of your natural cucumbers, you know, bits of fruit in it, whatever.
Oh,
blah,
this
blah,
is
blah.
all this Indian food messing where you have yogurt for actual food,
She's
isn't it?
got she added. I haven't got the exact recipe because she won't tell me. But she's added double cream
Mr. Kipling.
and chunks of chicken in with the fruit. So you got your yogurt dish, right?
Uh-huh.
And then add double cream and chunks of chicken. Honest to God, it was amazing. Oh my God!
Yeah,
and I'm not into all that, but she made it. Mwah. So that's the most random thing in my
I'm down
fridge
with
right
that.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask a question about phobias, but I know Grizz's phobias is crows and tunnels in children's playgrounds. So you don't have to ask Grizz that question. Mo, have you got any phobias?
Probably the closest I come to a phobia is deep water. I'm not the world's greatest swimmer, so if we were out at sea and I fell off the side of a ferry, I'd be quite concerned. But I mean, yeah, spiders, snakes, the dark, all your regular stuff, I'm okay with.
Okay, no problem. The next question is, and I'm going to do this it's separately for both. So first of all, Mo, Chris wants to know, name 3 Anfield Wrap contributors that you would like to be stuck or you would tolerate being stuck in a broken lift with.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, in a broken lift. Oh, okay. That instantly rules out Rob Gutman. Because
okay, that's fair.
He just wouldn't shut up. I'm going to say Josh, because we do have more things to talk about than anything else. Okay. I would say Lizzie, because she would find us a way out of there because she just gets things done. And I'd say Adam Media, because he's probably the one who makes me laugh most.
Yes, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah, he'll keep me calm while Lizzie's working out how to get us the hell out of there.
Okay, Grizz, on the other hand, if you were stuck in a lift with 3 of the LFC Daytrippers, which 3 would you tolerate the most?
Well, I'll have Shawnee in there because, you know, a fellow football man.
He's just lovely to look at.
Yeah, he's lovely to look at, but more his football insight is very similar to mine. You know, as we can talk for ages. I think the other person, and this may come as a shock to you, would be Colin Turley.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in these situations, imagine, you know, sometimes you need to take your frustration, anger out on someone or something.
So you just want to beat him up every so often?
I just want to smash him up every time.
Yeah.
So he's got
that's what friends are for.
Yeah, that's what friends are for, you know, because there is going to be points that you're going to be really frustrated and angry and sort of scared almost. And some people, when they're scared, they sort of release in different ways. And I'd release by smashing his face. And we need someone really tall and strong, like Mo said, someone who's going to actually make an effort to try to get us out of it. So it's got to be big Joe Walsh.
Yeah, good show.
Yeah.
Good show. Shaq reckons that Matt would be number 1 for you, Grizz.
Oh, fuck, man.
Stevie LFC says, Gav, tell them about some real food, potatoes with ham and cabbage. I can't. These lads are talking about yogurt with chicken in it and all. It's ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. Let me see. The yogurt was milk until Grizz stuck his head in the fridge, apparently. That's one of the latest comments as well. Somebody wants to know what you both feel on the new Liverpool jerseys. Just a quick word on them, Mo. What do you make of the new Liverpool night jerseys?
My first reaction was, but I think I'm kind of getting used to it. The idea of having the green back on the shirt hasn't been there for a while, and I know that a lot of people aren't necessarily happy about it, but I can get behind it. I think at the end of the day, the thing we always remember about shirts isn't so much just the design, it's about the team who was inside them and what was happening on the pitch while it was being worn. So even people who aren't fancying it now, once we start winning games, potentially winning trophies wearing it, I think opinions are going to change.
Okay, no worries. Grizz, do you really like it? Not like it? Not asked?
Not asked would be first answer. As Mo says, again, it all depends on sort of how the team's doing. If the team's doing shit, then everyone looks for all sorts of negatives and excuses and moans and groans and that. And the kit would be one of them, like, fucking, why did we change? You know, blah 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 blah. But just as a fashion guru that I am, if you want my opinion on the kit, I think it's fine. I think it'll look so much better once the players model it. We always have to wait for them to come out and then say, whoa, okay, it looks totally different to when sort of, you know, we saw it on the internet or whatever. So I think the kits are fine. I think we'll be grand as well in them.
Okay. Let me see. Shaka's going to get one with LFC DT1 on it. Don't do that. Jesus. Nobody likes us. Don't be doing that. You know, you'll only get abuse thrown at you if you do that. Chris wants to know, what's the worst football team present you've ever received at Christmas or on your birthday?
Well, I can answer the first, because what he was going to ask first, I've got an answer to that. So I've recently tried to sort of help Liverpool Football Club in the club shop, right? And it was advertised as, the PlayStation controller sleeves, right? With the Liverpool crest badge and everything, right? Yeah. Paid £25, Gav, and I sent you pictures, didn't I? Yeah. I've sent them back. Hope Peter Moores is listening and whoever's in charge of that.
I'd say he is. I'd say his main concern at the moment is PlayStation controllers. But yeah,
you never know. You know, unprecedented times. So I've sent them back because they turn out to be those stickers that you just put, like, sort of stick onto your PlayStation controller. Absolutely awful. Not what was advertised. Not what we thought we're getting. Basically, we got like sort of photocopies for £25.
Did someone buy this for you?
No, I bought them for my boy.
But the question was the worst team present you have
been bought.
I changed
the question a little bit.
So you didn't answer the first part of the question. You just completely changed it.
It just turned into a rant.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to rant. It was topical. I done it.
All right. I was on loose women there for a minute. Worst present.
25 quid for stickers.
Mo, I'll repeat the question, the actual question, the original question, and the only question that should have been asked. The worst football team present you've had bought for you at Christmas or on your birthday. And condolences to Grizz on his stickers for his PlayStation remote before we move on.
To be honest, without wanting to sound like a brown noser and a geek, every single LFC-related present I was given as a kid by any of my family who didn't know anything about me other than supporting Liverpool, I love them all. I absolutely love them all. And whatever you find that you could give me, if it was like a little matchstick man that had a Liverpool kit, if it was a book of statistics, it didn't matter. I wanted it. So my answer is Liverpool related. My mum lives in Philadelphia, and my little sisters live out there as well. They're from Philadelphia, and every year we have this battle when they were younger of sending each other Christmas presents with no idea what they wanted. So I would just basically send them something pink or something by One Direction or whatever, and they would just send me anything sports. So they once sent me, it was a basketball from the Philadelphia 76ers, who I didn't care about at that point, who now I do kind of support. But it was a basketball that was this big, about as big as my fist now, and it wasn't blown up. It wasn't inflated. It was kind of just
Oh,
a
it was one of those
shriveled.
little ones that you get in a toy basketball set, like.
Yeah, exactly. One of those. Like
I don't think they
Fisher-Price.
bought that for you, Mo. I think they found that and sent that to you.
Yeah, and like it wasn't like it was like a set with a hoop or anything. It was just a small, tiny, useless, airless basketball.
Cop 80 does not believe that Grizz is a fashion guru. Surprisingly.
No?
No, I think your fashion is quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
I don't know where he got that from.
I don't know either, but I think I'm going to stand up for Grizz and I'm going to say his fashion is quite good. Except when he wears 3/4 lengths.
3/4 trousers, yeah, I knew that was
Not
coming.
good. Not good. Let me see. Chris is mentioning the article in The Athletic about the women's football, the women's team, Liverpool related. If people want to go and have a read of that, it looks really interesting. What have I got before we go? Is there anything else? Anything else, Chris, you'd like to speak to me about, or the world about before you go?
No, not really. I mean, we could go for a tangent, but we've talked this start of the Premier League to death and football and missing it. I really want it to just sort of be resolved now.
One way or the other, like.
Say again?
One way or the other.
Yeah, I hate to say it, even if it meant sort of no football, this season not being completed, so curtailed, which would still mean we win the league, we get the trophy, we're presented as champions. Either way, this is just dragging on now in terms of we're hearing so much shit spoken by a different journalist every day, and it's literally every day there's a different scenario, there's a different route given, different opinion given, and it's all about self-interest. We're hearing nothing, no one of any note or importance or any official from FIFA, Premier League, UEFA has mentioned null and void. Not one. I haven't. Have you heard of any official news about null? No, it's only journalists that are talking to sort of chairman of clubs or mates of clubs, and everyone's giving their sort of agenda narrative. And it's boring, and it's just causing arguments daily on the Twitter, which is not nothing new.
No,
but it's tedious and it's boring. I just want it to be resolved one way or the other now.
Okay.
I think we're getting close to that happening, though. I genuinely.
So.
I think the things that have come out from UEFA over the last couple of days, giving people a deadline by which they need to have a plan. And there's so much that's still up in the air in terms of a timeline, but we are seeing other leagues coming to a resolution, whether it's the French and Dutch who are saying we are going to stop, whether it's the Germans, and to why I understand Italy, who have already started planning for a comeback. So I think it's a shame that we're not going to be unilaterally the same across Europe. It would have been a lot easier, would have been a lot better for everyone to say we can deal with this properly. But unfortunately, that's not how life works. We haven't been dealing with the same problem in the same way in all of these countries. And that's probably a bigger factor in it. But I'm like you, mate. I just the self-interest in and the kind of almost disingenuous way the conversation is being had at the moment is annoying. I really can't wait till we've got actual football, actual kicking a ball. I mean, I'd even have a 1-hour VAR debate with someone right now. I just want to talk about football. That's all I care about. It's crazy.
And Mo, like just quickly on it, we've seen what's gone on with regards to Spain, Italy, France today, Holland in the last couple of days. Germany, of course, they seem to be the news coming out of there supposedly is that they're ahead of everybody else with a plan to come back and play football. Just quickly on it, what way do you see it ending up? And what I mean by that is not what you hope happens. What when you sit down and logically think about it without the Liverpool in your mind, what way do you see this ending?
Well, I have to say that my feelings have kind of wavered over the time.
I was going to say, I bet you they fluctuated. Yeah.
And there's been times when I've been 100% sure that it's definitely not going to happen. Then there's been times when I'm fearful. But what we need to remember at the end of the day, the biggest factor in all of this, even more than the actual health factor, unfortunately, is money.
Yes.
And when you look at the difference between the leagues who've done one thing and the leagues who've done other, it's a scale of money. In terms of the teams, the leagues who would have the biggest amount of money to lose are the ones who are starting up. And we are very much at the top of that tree, far and away above everybody else. And that factor will override the self-interest of the few individual clubs. That is the reason football will come back. And the other thing that I'm comforting myself with, even though it's going to be a difficult task once football comes back to try and get any kind of rhythm back, it's going to be maybe some strange results in the first few weeks that everyone gets back. But
he dropped. Oh, he's there.
Yeah, but this builds up the tension. But you see, all the viewers and listeners get, and we kill the time in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be professional in these situations, Gav.
Yeah, I know.
Sure he's back,
I know. Go on, Grizz, go and get some of your fridge and show it to us. No, he's back. He's back, is he?
He's back. Mo's back.
Hello.
Yeah.
At what point
you left us at
that?
You left us at the butt. You literally said butt and then disappeared. And I was like,
Okay.
what a pro.
What I was going to say is, whenever football comes back, we've still got the best team. We've still got the best manager. We've still got great owners. We're still one of the most attractive teams to come to. Whatever football looks like when it comes back, we're still going to be the team to beat. And even if in the absolute worst case scenario where everything we've done up to this point does become meaningless, think about how good it would be at the end of next year when we still go and win it anyway.
Yeah, it was. I genuinely still think it gets played behind closed doors. That's my opinion on it. I don't know how many people agree with me or disagree with me on that. I just, like you said, Mo, I think the money and the ramifications of it, especially, they can't afford to take those financial ramifications this season because they're going to get hit with financial ramifications next season because so many games will be behind closed doors anyway. So I think it'll be behind closed doors.
The reason why I agree with you, even though, like Mo said, my sort of thoughts and ideas fluctuate, right? And that's one of the problems with reading everything, right, that comes out. But the main and most important reason for me believing in what you're saying as well is because the only ones that will decide this is the governments of every country.
Yeah.
And the government have openly, I think, probably, but have said that their aim is to finish it. And that's all we have. That's the only facts we have to go by, that the intention is to not null and void. The intention from every authority is to end the league. And that's all we should go by. We should try our best, even though I'm guilty of believing and getting my mind swayed by these articles and journals, etc., but we have to go by government regulations. And government, in conjunction with the Premier League, have said repeatedly, our aim is to finish the league.
Yeah.
And until they say no,
football's too important to the economy for them to cancel it. If you think about it.
It's nasty, it's unethical, morals, you can talk about all of that until the cows come home. And I will agree with all that, and that is what should, right, be first. But as you said, it's too much of a powerful force in the economy for it to be just voided. Simple.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair enough from both. It's absolutely fair. Right, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything in the world, including what's in Grizz's fridge, which is amazing. It's been really, really, really good. Mo, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. We will do it again sometime.
One last thing I wanted to say before I leave.
Yeah.
Anyone who's interested in getting involved in the music quiz that I mentioned earlier, I'm doing another one on Friday. 8 o'clock on my social media channels. So come over, you can win yourself a hat or something else quite nice.
Okay. So where can just find you via your Twitter and that Instagram?
Yeah, Mighty Mojo on Twitter, Mo __Stewart on Instagram.
Cool.
And the Mighty Mojo on Facebook.
Cool. Good stuff. Yeah, go and do that if you've nothing. If music is your thing anyway, don't go over there and embarrass yourself, because then Mo will go, look at these idiots that they've sent me for this quiz. So if you're good at music, go and do it. Listen, Grizz, it's been a pleasure as always. I'll talk to you soon.
No problem, pal.
Good stuff. That's been the Fatback 4 Daily. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Grizz. Thanks to Mo. It's been brilliant. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.